Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a different kind of video for you. This is kind of an introduction to what I do, and today I want to service call on this water heater. This is a Lochinvar Shield. This is a commercial water heater, and this is the model number SNR 126-065. I installed this water heater a while ago, and this is not the only one I installed. Actually, this is probably the 10th or 12th that I install, and they all have the same common problem. Lochinvar should be ashamed of this, and I'm calling them out to step up and take care of this problem once and for all. I removed the side panel over here, the access panel to the circulating pump, and the problem, which is a common problem, and they all had it. I mean, I kid you not, all of them, every single one had the same exact problem. As you can see, the union above the circulating pump is leaking badly, and what ends up being is that it leaks over this pump, it shorts it out, and that's the end of it. And these pumps are not cheap. I mean, we're talking about a stainless steel pump that costs about $500. I don't know which engineer in the right mind came up with that union in there, and I'm gonna take that out, I'm gonna take it apart, and I'm gonna show you what the problem is exactly. I removed the front access panel here, so I'll show you another problem with this unit. As you can see, the secondary union, which is located right next to the other one, has the same exact problem. Over time, it starts leaking, and it creates this problems that the water goes over these electronics, they short them out, and then your water heater is out of service. Same exact union, and I'll show you the reason why they fail. I'm going to start by removing this cover. This will reveal the electrical connections to the pump, and we will disconnect the power to the pump. The unit was disconnected from power prior to this. Remove the wires by pressing on these tabs and pulling the wires up. And this, we disconnected the pump from power. I'm gonna start here by loosening this union. With the union nut removed out of the way, you can kind of see what the problem is. This whole connection here is sealed by this paper gasket. I know it's not regular paper, it must be some special paper, but nonetheless it's some paper or cardboard gasket that fails miserably after a while. I'm going to take this thing completely out, and then we'll take a more in-depth look at this problem. The next step is to remove the pump. And I'm going to do that by removing these 4 screws holding it onto these 2 flanges up and down. These screws are so rusty from all the water leaking on top of them. With the pump out now, let me show you guys what I was talking about. As you can see, this is the paper gasket that fails. It doesn't disappoint, I mean, every single time. And take a look how thin this material is, how easily it breaks apart, and how thin this shoulder is that paper gasket is sitting on. I mean, which engineer in their right mind would design a system like this? It's just like prone to fail. It's engineered to fail. And on top of all this, when you put this pump back, you would have to use a new one of these, I guess, which you can never get. I called Lochinvar. They don't have anything like this. So then what? You're just left on your own. But let's say in case you get one, you're gonna have to put this in here and reinstall this pump in there, being so careful not to damage this paper gasket. I mean, it's just a disaster. Okay, so I'm gonna try to see if I can salvage this pump. As you can see, the pump is probably gonna be full of water. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna take this pump apart and see if I can salvage it and reuse it. One of the reasons that I'm trying to salvage this pump is because today, out of all of the days, is Saturday, and it never ceases to amaze me that everything that fails, your water heater, your boiler, they all stop working on a Friday night or a Saturday or something like that. The second reason I'm trying to salvage this pump is that it will take me hours before I can get my hands on one of these, even if I will be able to get one today. So let's give this a shot and see where we get. I'm gonna remove these Allen bolts holding the pump together and see what we find inside. Now, not all of these pumps are salvageable. For example, I have another one here that I kept from a previous water heater which had the same exact problem. As you can see here, the water made its way into this connection terminals and they fried them up, and that's the end of it. This is beyond fixing. This one I have here, I'm trying to attempt this since the connections are still in good shape. I used some compressed air and blew out all of the water that I could out of the pump, dry it up nice. I dried up also this connector block. The water sits in there and acts as a resistance, can short out your fuse. So let's give it a shot, see where we're at. Okay, so pump is clean. I dried as much as I could. I put it back together. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a test cable that I keep in my van. I'm gonna momentarily connect it to power to see if it runs. These pumps are not meant to run dry, so I sprayed a few shots of WD-40 inside the rotor and back and front bushings. So this way when she starts, if she starts, she will not run dry. So let's give it a shot and see if the pump runs. I'm gonna use GFI outlet. This way, if there's a short in the starter, it will just trip the GFI and I won't make a mess. So let's take a look at the pump, and I'm gonna plug it in right now. That was it, guys. So the pump actually runs. Wow. Now let's put it back together and install into the water heater, and we'll go from there. Now that we know that the pump is running, I cleaned this fitting really good with some abrasive sandpaper, and I cleaned really good this flat section of it too that mates with the top portion. And I don't really have any gasket to work with in here, so I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna try to use what I use on the other water heaters that I fixed, and I'm gonna actually try to make a gasket out of some thick Teflon tape, and I'll show you how. Okay, so let me show you how I'm doing this. I take this 3/4 inch Teflon tape and I stretch it just enough so it will overlap over the shoulder right here to kind of create a gasket. You have to be very, very careful with this. And I'll just go around. You cannot go around too many times. If you put it on too thick, your nut won't pass over it. So just enough, stretch it just enough to create a little Teflon shoulder in there. I think about 3 times is the most that I can go. And then we'll try the nut, see if it goes. So the nut barely makes it over it, which is exactly what you want. Now I'm going to try to do the same exact thing for this top male adapter. I'm going to wrap this Teflon tape, hanging it out about 1/8 of an inch over the thread to create this nice gasket in there. This is a pain in the ass to do, but you gotta take your time and do it right. Either you do it right the first time, or you're gonna have to take it all over apart and do it again. I was able to wrap this about 3 times around, and that should be about good. I'm just gonna fold this Teflon towards the inside now. Alright, so I was able to put the bolts back on the bottom flange of the pump. Then this is how the 2 parts look like before assembly. So I'm just gonna get them to line up like that and tie up this nut in here. Okay, let's put on this nut. You gotta go really careful not to strip that tape you put over the pipe. The advantage to this is that if you grab some of this Teflon into the nut here, it's gonna compress it in there, creating a tight seal. So let's get it tight. I'm just gonna get to this point, and then now I'm just gonna tighten the bottom screws of the pump. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the water back to the water heater and see if we have any leaks. Okay, so water heater is under pressure. The water is on, the water heater is full, it's under full pressure. We have absolutely no leaks in here. Everything is nice and dry. We'll connect the power back to the pump now and turn on the heater. I just reset this GFI plug where the heater goes. Before, what was happening is the heater was trying to start, pump was shorted out, it was throwing off this GFI, so it was going nowhere. I'm gonna plug it back in and see if it runs the way it should. Okay, it's being plugged. The computer started up. You can hear the circulating pump starting. Runs beautiful. No leaks. Let's see if it ignites and starts heating up the water. Okay, burner is on. Yep, everything runs the way it should. The water heater got to temp. All is working fine. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.